So yeah, I am going to try and record it later, but also I think it should be on YouTube. YouTube will keep the live recording for I'm not quite sure how long, but you should be able to find it on there too. If we get cut off, come back into the same link. This will be our ongoing link from now on as well. So we'll use this every Friday. Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with our hands. This is one I've actually been teaching my clients this week. It's a really good way to open your hands. And something that you should keep in mind with hands is that your sensory information centers for your limber, for your arms, and that arm leads into your shoulder, your neck, and around your ribs. So it's actually very important that we work here to keep the wrists and the hands open, and vice versa. We work here, opening the hands and wrists to keep the shoulder and the neck open as well. So what we're going to do to start with is turn our hand like that, and then take our knee, and if it's too much, you can just start with pressure. If it's not too much, drag the knee across the hand and the fingers. So it's not pleasant, but it is quite effective, and you do want nice. Make sure you get it finger as well. It's easy to leave it out. I almost roll over the other way on it. Then I'm going to change to the other side. See, if we can see that on my fingers, particularly that third finger, the one next to the middle finger, I've got quite buckled knuckles, and that's not a great sign. I have used my hands to death in this way so far, so they are often tight. Also, what you look at is odd shaping. So if the fingers are curving or lumping out in certain ways, it also is an indication of odd tightness through the fingers. Make sure you're getting into that little finger as well. And the next one, this is kind of an odd one. So if I take my hand this way, and I look at that knuckle that sticks up on the thumb there as I fold my thumb in. So I'm going to fold my thumb inside and put my hand down here. And what I'm going to do is put my knee directly onto this point and sort of between there and the wrist, and just get some compression on there. It's up to you how much weight you put on there, but I'm kind of looking to almost fold my hand in half long ways and create kind of an arch in the palm. Again, a way that I sort of lose my squishiness in my hands as I lose that fold. So it's good to encourage it. Other side. Something you could also get your partner to do is kind of crush your hand into this fold. Again, it's not very pleasant. You certainly have more control kneeling on it, but it can be more effective. Give them a little flick off. Bring them forward position here. I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm focusing on pressing the 2 front knuckles into the ground. 2, front joints. And I'm going to press down and lift up. So the aim is more to press down. And as I press down, it creates that ability for me to lift my hands. For those of you who are a bit stronger, you may want to move your knees back and lift up and down. And so it becomes a strength and mobility exercise. For those of you who are hyper-bendy, this movement here and like controlling the strength in it becomes more important than just being able to bend your hands up, because that's easy for you. And I want to take my shoulders forward over those knuckles if I can too. For me, this is a very tight area, so I don't try to load too much weight onto it. Used to be a lot worse though. And then I want to flip that around. And I'm going to bring this. So now I'm still focusing on these 2 front knuckles, but I'm going to make fists. And I'm going to take my fingers out straight. And then I'm going to, keeping my elbows straight, push my wrists towards the floor. Now, depending on how bendy you are, depends on how easy it is. If you're up here but your elbows are straight, that's better than bending your elbows and getting your wrists to the floor. I'm going to try and get the insides of your elbows to face outwards or forwards. I'm going to make a fist, punch those 2 front knuckles into the ground, and straighten it out again. And punch. Oh, I've got people to admit. Apologies to those people that I missed. And I've got one more. Down and punch. Awesome. From here, we're going to take it down onto our fronts. And we're going to go for an anatomical setup. So this one's possibly hard to see from that angle. So those of you who are clients are probably familiar with these. I'm going into a star shape, not too wide. So I want to narrow those hands a little bit. And I want to dig my toes in. I want to take my legs as wide as I can. Those of you who are as bendy as me can probably bring your legs in a little. So if you've got a really good straddle, you can narrow that up. From here, we're going to bring one knee right up. And I'm going to bring my hands over to that side. So it's the 5th anatomical adjusted one for those of you who are familiar. From here, not moving this knee, I'm going to sweep this top arm open and back. Open and back. So it's not about getting my arm on the ground behind me. Yeah, and I'm just going to keep flossing through there. I'm just going to check to see if there's anyone else I need to admit. Everyone's in. Good, we'll have a look and see what we've got. So what you want to look for here is that you're doing this like balletic kind of sweep over your head. Yeah, and you want to keep that knee stuck to the ground, James. Don't let it move. Good. Nice. And then once you've done 10 on one side, we'll switch you over to the other. So, and always I want to be careful with my setup when I switch. So I come back out into my star shape. Feet are flexed and active, toes are digging into the floor. I'm going to bring that other knee up, so my opposite knee up this time. That's what I just did. And move my hands over in that direction. And now I'm going to sweep that top arm open without moving the knee. And once you've done your 10, we're going to bring it back. So mobility is global, which means that if we're looking to open the shoulders and the back bend, we have to look globally. So with these anatomicals, we get this sort of unique opportunity to get into pec minor by keeping the hands narrow and taking the feet wide. What we're going to do is put a banana bend on the bottom legs. So I'm just going to move one foot to the other. And then I'm going to pick the opposite foot up. So the one I move stays where it is, and the other one is now going to go into the air. So I'm just going to repeat all of that. I'm in my star shape. I move one leg to the other leg. In this case, I move my left to my right. And now I'm going to pick my right leg up and take it over the top. And if I don't let my arms move, I get a great stretch running through this whole twist into my chest and through my arm. And it's subtle. These are nice subtle movements to get started with. And I'm going to bring that back and take it over again. I keep my feet active and flexed on both legs and back. Good, keep moving. Just going to have a quick check. See who I can see. Hey, Chris. Nice. Anyone that I let in last minute, my apologies. I didn't see you waiting there. And you were late. Nice. So try not to let that hand move. It's not about touching the ground. It's about the stretch. Good. Let your head be on the ground. Once you've done 10 on that side, you're going to switch it back to the other side. So in order for me to switch it back, I'm going to come back to my star, feet nice and wide, toes dug in. And now I move my right leg to my left leg. I push my left leg in the air and I make sure those hands are narrow-ish so that I get a nice stretch through pec minor. And this is where, if there are actually other things getting in the way of this twist, you may feel those more than your chest and your shoulder. And that's because mobility is global. From here, we're going to push back into child pose. So wide leg child, unless that's not available to you for whatever postural reason. Reaching your arms all the way forward, pushing your shoulders down here to the ground. Push your butt back to your heels. Taking the time to push all of the air out of your lungs. Pause empty for a second. Just really hold that air out. And then breathe in from the bottom of the spine to the crown of the head. And hold your breath for a second. And then as you relax, let that air just sigh out. So we're going to drag our hands in under our shoulders and drag our head and shoulders up, uncurling. We're going to bring ourselves into a spinal twist. I'm going to use the edge of my mat as my reference. Quite often I like to use a wall for this, so again, clients will be familiar. If I put my knees against that block, what I want to watch for, I'm not trying to knock the block over, but what I'm trying to watch for, so I'm at right angles here everywhere that I can be. I'm going to roll this top arm open, and as I do that, I'm going to get my shoulder on the ground, but you see my knee has come up, and it's drifted off that block. So now keeping the shoulder on the ground, my secondary aim is to push that knee towards the block or the wall or back in line with the mat. And I'm going to look towards the arm. The spine follows the gaze. And then I'm going to bring the arm back and I'm going to let that floss again. So I'm trying to let my head be on the ground. If you're quite tight in the neck, you may actually need to use a block to rest your head on. Over time, hopefully that will relax down and you can remove the block. So we open it up, shoulder on the ground, push the knee back. But try to keep that shoulder down. The knee hitting the block is not as important. I open it up, I keep looking at the hand, push the knee back. And we keep going. When you get a lot of lower back problems, this is one of my go-tos. Your lower back gets tight because the things either side of it cease to move properly. And so the lower back has to do everything with regards to mobility. And given that it doesn't have as much solid bone structure around it, it has more give, in theory. And we'll go 3 more. And 2. 1. And we're going to lift ourselves up and spin it around, or depending on how you're working, turn yourself the other way. Just make sure. If you guys want to set yourself up for the other one, and anyone who's got a question, feel free to stick their hand up and I shall unmute you. Are we all good with this? Yeah? Question with Chris, or we're all good? Nope, he's just opening. Cool. Nice. Don't mind the sound of pain in the background. No one's dying here. Open, get the shoulder down, look towards the hand, push the knee. And bring it back. Open, shoulder down, push the knee. Do one more and then we'll change. We're going to go to face down after that one. So this is a good one for most of us who are stuck sitting at desks, especially if you're working from home now. And you don't need a ball right now, but I just want to show you the idea with this. So you can use this to help open the stretch by placing it somewhere around here as you do the stretch. So we're going to go into broken wing, and we're going to do a new version or a different version to what I've done in my other classes. So just pointing out with the ball, not to worry for now unless you want to use it. So I want to put my hands out in a crucifix position, and I'm going to turn my head away from the arm that I'm working on. So at the moment I'm going to turn my head away from you. And what I want to do is open gently onto that shoulder till I get a stretch. Now I am not deliberately pulling my shoulder down my back for this one. We'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to open here. And now what I'm going to do is I want to, while I'm in this position, I want to press my hand into the ground for 10 seconds. And then we're going to lift it for 10 seconds. So that looks like this. So I'm going to press down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to lift that arm up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to open and stretch. Now you can pull the shoulder away from the ear and down the back. The leg in the ear is optional. I'm using it as weight. You don't need to. Be gentle with your shoulder. And then relax the shoulder again. And press down into the floor again. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And lift the arm. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And drop it. And stretch open. Shoulder down the back. So when I say shoulder down the back, I mean like create like a long neck by pulling your shoulder towards your hip. And slowly lowering your leg back to the mat. There's nothing like the sound of children screaming to make your yoga practice more relaxing. Taking your arms out into that crucifix position again. And now you're going to work on your opposite arm. Usually I would start with my tighter side for those of you that aren't familiar with my method. Usually I'm a fan of starting with the tight side and then working my not so tight side to similar flexibility. Here's a little different because we're doing a technique called pails and rails. So you might end up double working one arm if you were doing this in your own time and you found one to be significantly weaker than the other in the lift. So now I'm going to look to this hand, open over the shoulder gently, and then I'm going to push into the floor with that opposite hand. Let the head rest on the ground for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now lift the arm up. So you're trying to lift that back hand. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax that down. Pull the shoulder down the back and let it open. It's a nice long neck. Shoulders are actively being pulled down. A little unusual for yin, but normal in my class. Or for a yin pose. And we're going to press down one more time, pressing down to the ground for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax it down, open it up, shoulder down the back. Some of you may find your spine gives you some interesting clicks when you're doing all this kind of work. Your shoulders are very much intricately connected to what's happening in your back. And we bring it back, nice and gentle. And if you want to push back to down dog or child pose or anything to give that a wriggle, I'm just going to check in with you guys. See if I've got anybody that's waiting. Nope, don't think so. All good. So it's always good to give things a little bit of a step and a wriggle out. And then we're going to bring it into tabletop. So hands under shoulders. And I like to push my shoulders forward to kind of line up with my knuckles. I want to push my chest forward, suck my abs in, and then make sure my knees are directly under my hips and hip distance apart. Toes are tucked in. From here, we're going to give everything a bit of a wriggle. So we're going to take things around in whatever organic, wriggly little movement you like. I want you to stick to nose breathing only. We're going to put some heat in those shoulders. You can bend your elbows if you like, but also make sure you really push the ground away at some point as well. I like to drift forward over my hands a little bit and back, stretching out my wrists more and more. This used to, well, still is my worst mobility area, but it used to be much worse. It became my focus when I wanted to be able to do a full wheel. And wriggle. And we're going to take it into cat and cow when you're ready. So tucking our tailbones towards ourselves, breathing out and looking for our belly button. As we breathe in, we're going to pull our shoulders down our back, stick our butt towards our head and push our chest forward. Breathing out, tuck. Sticking to nose breathing only. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Broaden that chest, open the collarbones, keep hold of your abdominals. Breathe out, push. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. We're going to take it back to child, but we're going to do an active child. So those of you who've done animal flow, this is known as loaded beast. So what I want to do is pick my knees 1 inch up off the floor, give my butt a little bit of a squeeze, shrug my shoulders, push the ground away, and get my head as low as I can. From here, I'm going to grip the ground with my hands and pull myself forward over my wrists. And then I'm going to push back again. Shrug your shoulders. So I'm going to pull forward, push back. I want to try and take as much of that movement into my shoulders as I can. And back. Breathing in as you come forward, try and keep it in the nose. Breathing out as you go back. You're going to do 4 more and then rest in child. And all the way down in your child pose, breathe out, head on the floor. Take the time to push the air all the way out of the lungs. And breathe in from the bottom to the top of the spine. Hold the breath for a second, and then let it out like a big sigh. From here, we're going to drag. Actually, first we're going to walk our fingers all the way forward and look forward to our fingertips. Then we're going to walk our hands forward. Push our butt into the sky. You can dig your toes in or point your toes. I'm going to look forward to my hands and press my shoulders down and I'm going to reach as I do that. And then I'm going to flatten my hands down, push my shoulders down more. And then we drag it back, roll it up. So we're going to do a little play now between trying to do an easy-ish back bend versus, or at least the setup for, versus doing some other shoulder openers, lying down. So it's going to be a little bit piecey, but it's going to work nicely for heat. So what I want to do, I feel like we've almost got too much sunlight. What I want to do is set myself up in this shape. Thanks to my stagehand in the background, adjusting the lighting for me. Knocking things over. Setting myself up like this, if I slide my butt forward and back until it hits the middle. Now, for those of you with damaged shoulders, of which I know there's a couple, you can stay here and play with pushing the ground away and relaxing. Pushing the ground away and relaxing, yeah? So, and you can also do that whilst doing it on one hand, other hand. Okay, so nice basic version of activation. When I do this, I've got my abs on and my butt sticking back like I'm Pamela Anderson or Marilyn Monroe or whoever you can relate to on that one. So Kim Kardashian maybe. So push, back to here, relax, push, back to here. For those of you who want to try leveling it up, you're going to lift your butt 1 inch off the ground, stick your butt back towards your hands, and you're going to, first of all, push the ground away, look straight ahead, and you're going to shift from one hand to the other hand. And what I want to do while I do this is keep really pretty posture, essentially. So I want my chest up, my eyes are straight ahead, and my shoulders aren't sagging down here, hitting my chin, right? Because that's going to help me build some of those lower and mid muscles in my back. That's also going to work on my rear delts, which are usually weak in most people. And for those of you who want to take it to the next step, from here, we're going to start doing a 3-point bridge. So the 3-point bridge starts with the hand here, and you are going to keep looking at that hand. From here, you're going to try and push your hips up. Keep looking at the ceiling, keep looking at the hand. The idea is to get your hips up as high as you can. Come back down, change sides. Push the ground away, keep looking at the ceiling, push the hips all the way up, come back down. For those of you that can't bridge because your shoulders don't allow you, this is actually a good way to get around that problem and still start working the strength of the bridge, or some elements of the strength of the bridge. Push up. And we'll go for one more on each side, or evening it up. Yeah, last one. Nice. Give your hands a little bit of a flick. This is your wrist rest here, shoulders down. A lot of people end up doing this. Less effective. Good. And if I close my fists there, that gives me a little bit more. All right, so I promised like a shoulder stretch kind of thing in the middle. So a few of you will know this one as well. This is your prone fly. So I come into here. I want to get my feet together, suck my abs in. Chin is forward. And from here, I'm going to squeeze my elbows together as much as I can. Lift my hands off my back and reach. Now when I reach, I want to push high. Now the super flexy, they end up with their arms like almost perpendicular to the floor. Great. Just push as hard and as high as you can. It's a nice little toner for your triceps too. And then I'm going to keep that height, bend at the elbows, bring my hands down, and then unsqueeze the elbows. I like to change my palms over as to which one's on top, and we're going to go again. Now, for those of you who are good at this, you can now start flying your hands around and back as long as they don't hit the floor. And as long as you keep pushing that height as we go through this. So this is all about creating a lot of tension in your own body without any weight. So I'm squeezing those elbows up, lifting the hands as high as I can, straightening off my elbows, and then flying around. I'm going to be nice to my plant and not fly too far. And then back, down, down. So I go up one way, squeeze elbows, lift hands, extend. And when I come back and I'm really pushing my wings up as I fly around with my hands, notice how they twist. When I come back to here, I'm still pushing up as much as I can, trying to maintain that. It's a lot of work. We're going to do 2 more. And 1 more. When you've done those, you can push back to chart. I'm only going to make you do 1 set of those. I am going to make you do more of what we were doing before. So we are going to come back into our crab position. So, something I didn't mention was hand position here. So depending on your wrist flexibility, depends on where your fingers point. I always say to remind people that crabby's feet go outwards in all directions. So therefore my fingers are aiming to go back and not turn around this way. But they might also go out to the sides or some variation in there depending on your wrist flexibility. Ideally backwards, but you don't want to break anything for the sake of this. So from here, remembering what you were playing with if you're on the ground, butt back, abs on, chest up, shrug and push, or shifting side to side. If you're up 1 inch off the ground, you can play with just shifting side to side and pushing the ground away, pushing your chest up. Or you can take it into that reach. Now there's another variation here, which you're only really meant to do if you can get your hips all the way up. And a lot of people can't. So be wary, this is where you could cause damage. If I want to go to the next step, first my hips have to hit this high point. And then I can look at this hand on the ground and take this other hand and compress it over my head and reach for the floor. And then I can come back and change sides. But I'm only going to do that if I've already got this bridge here pretty good. If my hips are stuck down here, there's no point. And potentially it's a bit more dangerous for you to go through to this reach here. But most importantly, I think it doesn't achieve anything for you. But we're going to do 4 more. And then we're going to bring it back down to lying face down again. If you need to, just push back through the child, give it a wriggle, shuffle those hips around, and then come forward. So, this is an interesting angle. I think I'll stay this way. So the next thing we're going to do, it's not prone flies again, there'll be many of you that'll be happy about that, is we're going to do kind of a ballet back bend of sorts. So what we want to do is take our hands into second, just pretty much crucifix position, but like lower down, so just under the line of your chest. From here, you want to roll your shoulders down the back and lift up. And see, my fingers are just dragging on the floor. I want to tuck my chin in, abs are on, butt should be off as I do that lift, and down. I've left my feet really wide, notice that. That's going to make this easier for you. So, nice wide arms, roll the shoulders down the back, suck your abs in, try to keep your butt off, lift, pull down, tuck your chin in, and down. And again. And down. If I extend my chin out, I can end up blocking my shoulder and also jamming up the back of my neck. Not ideal. We'll go for 4 more. 3. 2. 4. We're going to take our arms out in front of us. We're still in the wider leg position. And this is where you have options. So if you want to make the back. Oh, that's yours. I'm just going to kill that music. What was I going to say? From here, if I want to make this more difficult, apologies folks, I can bring my legs together. But when I do that, I need to make sure that my butt, my glute max, is not involved, yeah? So if I take my legs a little wider, it makes life easier. And if I'm really not a great backbender, give yourself some space, okay? From here, abs suck in off the ground, shoulders pull down the back. I'm going to drag my arms in to sit up in that like little up dog. And we're going to go and do up dog to seal over and over again. But while we do that, and I'm going to turn this around now. While we do that, what we want to make sure of is that our pelvis never leaves the ground and that our shoulders never end up jammed like this. So for those of you who have very jacked shoulders, move your elbows forward because it's going to make life a lot easier. And you want to move them forward until you're able to comfortably pull your shoulders down your back and tuck your chin in. Now, as I start to open this up more, my aim becomes to push my chest through my shoulders. And I want to keep pulling my shoulders down my back and pushing my chest through my shoulders. And this becomes very important for toning the lower lat muscles to prevent this kind of I'm hanging my shoulders off my ears posture. From here, abs suck in to give me more room to push up into seal. Butt stays off, abs pull in, chest pushes through. Watch over lifting your head and creasing the back of your neck. That's only for the very bendy. The chest pushes the head around. And then I come back down to my elbows, shoulders don't move. And I'm going to go again. Down. And push. Down. And push. Down. Push. Down. Good. 3 more. But don't get too excited. We're going to end on the up. And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to walk your hands in as long as your pelvis stays stuck to the ground. Now, there's 2 ways to keep your pelvis down on the ground or push it down. Shoulders push it down and abs pull it in. Then I can start to walk my hands in, push my chest through my shoulders, tuck my chin out of the way, and push my chest up for that back bend. But shoulders are strong. And nose breathing, people. More important that you keep your shoulder position than your arms are straight. But in this setup, we can move our hands in order to have our arms straight and keep our shoulders down. And we're going to unbend slowly down to the ground, forehead on the floor. You're going to feel some compression and some groan in that lower back, most likely. And then you're going to push back to child, all the way back. Take your pick for which child option you like. I usually go back to wide leg. And then because we've compressed the lower back, I usually bring my knees in to get that extra rounding through my lower back. Taking the time to breathe all the way out. And then all the way in from the bottom to the top. Hold that breath and almost squeeze all your muscles around it. And then let it go on a big sigh. Draw your hands in under your shoulders and drag your head and shoulders up to sit. What we bend one way, we must bend the other. So, today we're going to go for a couple of knee-hugging kind of forward folds. And then we're going to go into the held breath version. So for those of you who haven't done that with me before, I will explain it, and it really is a held breath movement. But to start with nice and easy, and you can stay with this movement if you like, instead of doing both, is you want to hug your knees into your chest and flex your toes. You'll notice that I hooked my pants over my ankles and my heels, and that's because I just want something to slide along the ground with. Leg warmers are also very useful, Sam. Anyway, from here, I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to tuck my head to my knees, and then I'm going to breathe out and push. As my body starts to disconnect from my quads and my knees, I'm going to bring it back in. That's the end range for me. And I take a breath in, and I breathe out and push. Breath in, breath out and push. Breath in, breath out and push. Breath in, out and push. If you want to keep going with that, you can. If you want to go for the slightly more flexy version, you can grab your feet and push, and that allows you to straighten your knees out more. Otherwise, I'm going to move into teaching the held breath version. We're going to do 2 rounds, left leg, right leg, and then both legs. That's 1 round. So how this works is I want to set myself up with one knee tucked in and one leg straight out in front of me. But I want to make sure it's straight out in front of me. I'm almost pulling back in that hip. So I'm starting with my left leg, so I want to pull my left leg back behind, or left hip back behind me. From here, now if you struggle to sit in this position, prop yourself with a block. So with one leg, you'll probably be fine. With 2, definitely some of the guys might struggle. It is usually the case, not always. Some of the girls sometimes too. So from here, what I want to do is breathe all the way out until I've got nothing left in my lungs, like push every last drop out. And then I want you to imagine that your lungs start at the base of your spine and travel all the way up, and I want you to slowly fill them and let it lift you up tall. And then you're going to hold that breath gently. So don't panic that you're holding your breath. You are in control. As you fold forward, you keep a hold of the breath, and you're going to fold forward over this leg. I like to grab the foot with the opposite hand on the opposite side. It helps me line everything up. I keep holding the breath, I drop the head, and now I can play with pointing and flexing the toe. When I flex, I hold my stretch, and I really push that flex. When I point, I can increase the stretch, yeah? And then I want to come all the way up before I breathe out. So you're going to do this in your own time. So it's going to be 2 or 3 rounds, depending on how fast you move through it. I'm going to guide at my speed, and anybody who's with me can kind of follow me there. Anybody who needs to check back in can. So I'm going to breathe out. In from the bottom to the top. I hold the breath and fold. And then I sit back up and I let the breath out gently. So I'm kind of trying to do a medium speed with this. Holding for longer is good, by the way. So I'm going to breathe out. I'm on my right leg now. I breathe in from the bottom to the top. And I'm going to fold. Holding that breath the whole way. Sitting up in a gentle sigh of the breath out. Trying to avoid the aggressive expulsion of breath if we can. We are in control of it after all. I'm going to go with the 2 legs. If at this stage you need to put a brick under your butt to make this a bit easier, by all means do that. Over time, things will change if you work with where you're at now. So from here, I'm going to breathe all the way out. Breathe all the way in. Holding the breath and folding in your own time. And sitting up when you're ready. Left leg again, one more time each side and double in the middle. So pull that left hip back, breathe all the way out, all the way in. Folding when you're ready. Trying to make sure you're sitting upright and you've aligned your spine for breathing in and out. Pull that right hip back, sitting up the right side. Breathing all the way out. All the way in from the bottom to the top. Sitting it up when you're ready. This is the last one. and doing doubles in the middle. If you want to just do another round of double legs, if that was your last one, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, lying back and just in Shavasana and just taking a moment to chill. So breathing all the way out. All the way in from the bottom to the top. Hold the breath and fold. Up when you're ready, and then sliding it all the way back onto your back. Take the time to breathe all the way out and push every last little drop of air out of your lungs. And all the way in from the bottom to the top. And a big sigh, sink into the floor. Just watching your breath. Wriggling your fingers and wriggling your toes. You can, of course, stay right where you are if you want to and not move for the rest of the day. We're going to stretch and lengthen our arms and legs away from us. I like to alternate, one leg reaching, the other hand reaching. Scooping around to give the knees a hug. Is that the mat? That'll be so clear on the microphone. And then turning to one side and taking your top hand to push you up into sitting, unless you're still lying on your back. So I'm going to bring that back to stop it. I can't see. Where's the participants? That's what I wanted. I want to unmute you all. Yay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Cool. So that should be recorded. Let's see. Yep, it's still recording on here too. So I should have a record of it somewhere, but it should be on YouTube as well on Holy Health if you're not subscribed there. Otherwise, it's a beautiful sunny day, and research tells us there's no replacement for the sun. So other than some of you who are actually outside, congratulations.
Oh,
yeah, I see people outside doing yoga on the grass. Go crass. Other than those of you who are outside, go get outside in the sun that's here. Joe, I'm sorry if it's raining in San Francisco.
Bubbles, please. Protect your bubbles.
And that's Magda reminding us not to break our bubbles or you make her job harder. So please don't.
Protect your bubbles, please.
If you have any questions, feel free to hang on and ask me now, or ask me in comments and stuff like that. If there's anyone I didn't let in on this and is watching it later, I'm so sorry. Please try to be on time. I can't do multiple things at once. I've been trying for like 40 years almost. Very unprofessional. Thank you guys very much. Nice.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. It's fun
What
watching.
happens if I push that? Oh. Oh. Oh, mic's on.
I remiked you all so I could hear you. Mike Doyle's got Aurora Borealis playing. That's awesome. Bye all, and end it now.